Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, you're to another mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who is making me play bad NES games with me?
Who else but Michael Hughes?
Yes, this wasn't just. And welcome to another spooky episode, because I'm going to throw this in the Spooktober, even though this is not really spooky, but close enough. They're spooky and they're kooky.
Yeah, it's in the theme song. It fits.
So we are talking about Fester's Quest for Nintendo, published and developed by Sunsoft, and came out in 1989, and then in Europe, 1990. God.
I think the full title is The Addams Family: Uncle Fester's Quest. At least I saw.
This is also only the second Addams Family game I ever played. So, yeah.
There are less Addams Family games than I would expect. I think there's only like 4 or 5.
There's not a ton. I played the Super Nintendo one a lot when I was a kid because I had that for some reason. I don't know why, but I had it.
Scavenger Hunt?
I have no idea how that game ended up in my collection or why my mom bought it for me, but I had it. First, I just want to talk about the title screen for this game.
Oh.
Doesn't it look like someone just made it in paint?
Yeah, totally. It looks better than the box art.
Yeah, the box art's terrible, too. It's just Fester's ugly face and
a
spider on
expression. Yeah, it's horrifying.
And it's like really detailed, too. Like, why? Like, I don't get it. Was Fester some like big, like, oh, people are going to buy a game of Fester on the cover? Like, did anybody really care about Fester back then?
I don't know, because, like, the show had stopped running for a while, and the first movie I think was in the 90s. It was like 91 or 92. Like, I don't know who this was for.
Yeah, I don't get that. This is also when licensed stuff was cheap to make.
Yeah. And, you don't even have to have a plot. You just make them fight aliens, like Bart vs. Space Aliens or whatever it was called. Space Mutants.
It's also a bad game, I think.
Yes, that's a worse game than this one.
So I had no intention of ever playing this game. I had no intention of, and then a week ago or 2 weeks ago, you just started playing it, and you're like, and I made the joke. I said, well, okay, if you beat it, we'll cover it, and then you beat it.
I don't even know why I picked it up. Like, because I've always been interested in it ever since Game Informer did the replay of it years and years ago, and they barely made it out of the first sewer. Like, well, what the hell is the rest of this game? And it just, because there's so much they never even saw, but then of course there's not a whole lot to talk about in the first place. So
no, it's just a top-down game where you walk around third person and you shoot aliens that respawn constantly.
Yeah, it's got Ninja Gaiden rules where if it's at the edge of the screen where they spawn, they will continuously spawn until you move enough to untrigger it.
Yeah, and then they keep spawning, and different enemies will spawn depending on like some of the speedruns I've watched. What they'll do, they'll leave certain enemies on the screen so other enemies won't spawn.
Yeah, that's smart.
Because everything, but it's not as bad as people make it out to seem. It's also not as hard. It's just one of those games where, like, you really point this out. Everything's in the instruction book. So if you didn't have the instruction book, you wouldn't know how to play the game because you can't. And the idea that some people probably would have came into this during renting. They also make this game a lot harder than they needed to because of renting.
Yeah, for the North American version.
Mm-hmm. Plus, there's no saving. There's no password. There's no save system. And that was a mistake, not a feature. They couldn't get it to work at the time. And whoever was in charge said, well, we'll throw it on the box and say it's a feature. Because it would help curb rentals. I mean, again, I hate the rental thing in the late 80s, early 90s, how much it affects games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It really bothers me.
Because like we talked about way back in the Castlevania 3 episode, how the changes in the North American version made it so much more difficult to get through than the Japanese version.
Yeah. And that's what this game is, too, because you played the PAL version also.
Yeah, so for some reason I played the North American version twice, and I played the PAL version twice, becoming an expert slowly in this stupid game.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not a terrible game. Like, it's not. Well, it's a little broken, but like the North American version has more issues because your bullets don't. The gun that you shoot doesn't go through walls in North American, only in the PAL version, which helps when you're trying to fight enemies in tight places. Because in the depending on what gun you have, because one thing about this game is you progress through the game, you kill enemies. And you get pickups, and you'll get blue and red pickups that say gun, and the game doesn't communicate to you. I mean, the instruction book would, but If you pick up the red gun, it weakens your gun.
Yeah, naturally. Don't you love it when games just make your weapon worse as you play?
It's a dumb feature, and it doesn't need to be there. Like, there is no reason for it.
Agreed.
Like, I mean, just let you upgrade your gun. Why you have pickups that people are just going to ignore or irritate them? But yeah,
and like the pickups spawn a half a second or a second after you kill an enemy. So if you're just cruising through and you kill an enemy, you might pick up something accidentally without even realizing it until your gun suddenly now shoots in these big looping sweeps that get hung up on every single wall you pass, especially in the sewers, which we haven't talked about yet. But
so this game is very much, it's a top-down game, but it has a couple different things that you walk around in a very small linear town map, and then you go into sewers and you walk around a sewer map that's also kind of maze-like.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of the game is to progress through and find houses that have mazes and bosses. Like, there's really not much to this game. And again, it's NES, so I can't expect a whole lot.
Yeah. You're tracking down clues in quotation marks to find out where the aliens are hiding.
And then the Addams family's in this game too. Like, you meet different members of the family that then help you, kind of, I guess, or give you items.
Mm-hmm. Everyone but Gomez, for some reason. You find the thing 3 times, but they couldn't work Gomez in there somewhere.
So you have to also kill enemies that drop keys, and you get the keys, and the keys will let you open up doors, but you have to go in the start menu, select the key, hit start, then hit, I think, B, whatever button doesn't shoot, and that will open the door.
Yeah, B shoots, and then A uses whatever item you have selected, but it's kind of cumbersome. It's not, I would say it's not worse than Mega Man switching powers, but you're doing it constantly in this.
I disagree.
Because every time you go into a sewer, you have to pull out a light bulb to light your way. And then, like you said, every time you open a door, you have to use a key every single time.
Mm-hmm. It's just weird little things that didn't need to be in the game. Like, enemies drop a ton of light bulbs, and you only have 2 health to start this game, and you only get a max of 4 health if you get all the upgrades.
Uh-huh. And they're pretty well hidden, actually. The first one, you have to get to one of the first-person maze sections, and you run into a wall, a dead-end wall, to get the first health pip. And the second one is in the overworld, where you have to walk through these bordering trees that border this house that is apparently the Addams Family mansion, even though it looks like every other house, except it's gray.
It's NES.
Beautiful. Love it.
I mean, that's all I got. It's NES. And the only way to heal yourself is you get money by killing enemies too. They'll drop little dollar signs, and then they'll give you, and then you have to go to hot dog stands throughout the game that you'll see, and that's one way to heal yourself. Plus, you get potions somehow.
$5 for a hot dog. It's ridiculous. Even in 1989, yeah.
I mean, I went to Chicago. I think I paid around $5 for a hot dog when I went there a couple years ago. I'm sure it's more now. So, but, I mean, it's just very odd. Like, how do you even? Can you buy items? Like, can you buy the potions and things in this game, or just get them?
No. You get them. You have to get them from the houses, and if you miss the house, you can't get them unless you die and then start from the very beginning, because that's the feature they went with.
It wasn't supposed to be a feature. It was the guy couldn't figure out how to put passwords in or save the game or anything, so somebody in charge just said, "Oh, throw it on the box. It's a feature." I
mean, it's so linear; it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But it just, when you die, you hit continue on the main menu, and it starts you at the very beginning. But you keep all your items and weapons and whatnot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't start you completely fresh.
But you got to fight all the bosses again, right?
Yes, I think so.
That's just stupid.
Wait, do you?
I don't know. You're the one that I played the game with save states and cheat codes, so I couldn't die, because even with save state, I was having a hard time.
This is kind of a stupid thing to brag about, but I got pretty good at it, so I kind of quit dying.
You like your old NES games, though, so.
Yeah, especially stuff like this, where everyone's like, "Oh, it's impossible. You can't play this game. It's so hard." And like, I don't want to say I mastered it, but I've gotten pretty damn good at it in the last few weeks.
It's definitely not impossible, and it's definitely not, it's not broken like I always thought it was. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's got some jank. Like, the projectiles clipping on the walls is pretty broken.
Yeah, unless you're playing the PAL version, and then everything goes to the wall, including their projectiles, which in the North American version they do not.
Right.
But at the same time, when you're shooting this gun constantly, it's kind of nice that it goes through walls to hit things, because it gets caught up on stuff like in the sewers. Like you have like these tight corridors and everything will get caught up on each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's very annoying.
Especially when you have like the rats running around. Like, okay, I got to shoot this thing real quick, and you shoot out one bullet and it hits the wall, and you're kind of screwed.
And it takes so many hits to kill things in this game. Like it is ridiculous the amount of in the North American version, especially to kill any enemy, the amount of hits it takes.
You know, it's bad when the game under the game hint section in the manual, this says to use a rapid fire joystick.
Rapid fire means you just are able to hold down the fire button, right?
Yeah, turbo.
Okay. I could not get that to work on my emulator, so I had to tap. It was very annoying.
Yeah, but you had invincibility, so it didn't.
Yeah, that made it. Not at first. I tried to play, because I always try to play games just with save states at first, because I'm like, if I can beat a game with save states, I feel like I'm beating a game close to what reality would be, I guess, or closer. But in this game, like, I got to the first boss, and it just took so many hits. I'm like, fuck this. I want to talk about the first. So you fight. The first boss looks like an alien or a demon, more like a demon type thing, with two giant arms that shoot across the screen, and it'll take turns which one it does. And I just got annoyed. I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. But he attacks with the left one, and then he attacks with the right one, and then he attacks with both. But he'll move to match your position, so he can hit you with the left. Well, his right, I guess, if you want to get technical about it. But he swings with the left one, and then if you move up just to the right of that, you can stand there and fire up at him like he does the other two.
Yeah, but it was just annoying. Like, he was just taking so many hits, and I had the most powerful gun because I farmed to get because your gun can upgrade up to 8 as long as you don't grab the red thing that degrades your gun. And I did that, so I had but it just took too long. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
A boss that takes too many hits with pattern recognition required. I thought you would like this since you like the Dark Souls games.
See, when in Dark Souls you can grind and level up to the point where it doesn't take that much hits anymore.
That's true. There is that.
You've never seen me play Dark Souls yet, or heard me really like when I play Dark Souls, I get really into leveling, and like nobody takes a ton of hits in that game either, because there's always ways to get around it.
Mm-hmm.
It just only takes a ton of hits if you don't level or play right. Like, but me, I use guides and level up, and I come into things like in the end of Dark Souls, I was so powered up, I just tanked bosses because it didn't matter anymore. Nice. But that's how I play games when I can. I mean, this game is not RPG, so I can't do that.
Yeah, you definitely can't do that in this because, like you said, you start off with 2 hits, and by the first boss, you get the third one, but that's still not a whole lot of life.
I didn't get it, but I also stopped caring. So,
but
it's hidden. Like, who the hell would think it's in a wall in the maze? Like, is that in the instruction book?
Yes, it tells you that you can upgrade from 2 to 4, and it gives you like very vague hints. But that first one I found by accident because I just happened to run into that wall.
Oh, and then before every boss fight, or when you go in these big houses, you have a maze section. It's a first-person maze where you can't really see much, but it's really it looks like an old NES, like old PC game essentially.
Yeah, those first-person RPGs.
It's bad. And you do it like 5 times in this game, too, or so. You have a bunch of different mazes to go through.
Several times.
So, I mean, really, this game is walking around on the world map, which ain't much of a world map, going downstairs, look like they're right out of Zelda, and then you're going into sewers, running around sewers, shooting things to get to the next house. And then you have different houses you can go into that will, like we said, you'll see the Addams family, they'll give you... There's a bunch of items in this game, too.
Kind of.
There are.
There are that just don't make sense. Like, if you get hit by these fly enemies, they slow you down to a crawl, like even slower than Fester normally moves. And you have to use vice grips to restore your movement. Like, what a choice. Why vice grips?
I don't get it. You get missiles, which are missiles and lock onto the enemy.
Yeah, they stole that straight out of their own game, the Blaster Master.
Oh. You get TNT, which I never used. I'm assuming it just blows things up.
Yeah, you just kind of drop it like a mine, and then if they get close, it hurts them. I used it a couple of times.
You have a potion that heals you. You have an invisible potion, which just lets you be invincible, essentially. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those mistranslation things. It's definitely an invincibility potion.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. You get a whip in this game eventually, too, which is your melee weapon, I guess, even though it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's infinite ammo.
It's not great. Like, it does more damage than the gun, but it's slow and limited range. So
You don't want anybody close to you in this game
true, yeah.
because it doesn't. So few hits and you're dead. And this game does have a certain amount of continues. Also, by the way, there's a limited amount of continues that start you at the beginning of the game.
That I did not know. Silver Surfer does that same thing where it lets you continue, but all of a sudden it just poops you back out to the main menu. It's like, oh, tough luck.
It's NES. It's that time, and again, so much of it I think has to really be the rental thing, which I will talk about forever. Like I hate it. As I've grown up as a gamer, and I realize like I get it from a financial standpoint, I get it, but like my God, couldn't you just make your game better if we want to buy it? Like,
yeah,
it just frustrates me that rental was such a upset Japan company so much. It was huge back then, so I get it, but
yeah,
too damn hard. But no, the whip is okay. I got it. I didn't really use it because I didn't like being close.
Yeah, I used it on the last boss. That's about it. I think the only other, you got the money, which you talked about, the bulb, the key, and then the noose that you get towards the end of the game.
Which I didn't know what it did until earlier.
Yeah, it's a reference to the old show because they would pull the nooses to call Lurch. So you use a noose and it pops up a little splash screen of Lurch coming in and he just destroys everything on screen magically.
And he also says, "You rang." In text.
Classic.
Yeah, I was wondering what the noose was for. I thought it was like, okay, just commit suicide or what? Okay. But
this game, might as well just take the easy way out.
In the way that the speedrunners play this game, they use the noose to glitch in the end of the game, something to do with the whip and the noose, and they glitch out and get to the and beat the game at the end.
I don't know how they figure this stuff out.
I don't know why people are playing. Why does that mean people play this game? But hey,
I can't say anything on that.
And all the bosses, I guess, are like supposed to be aliens. Like the second boss, the first boss is the guy with the big demon arm. What's the second boss again?
He's the guy with the whips. So it's basically the same thing, but he looks different.
Okay. And then the third boss is a terrible one with a freaking shield and a sword that blocks your attack.
Yeah. So my strategy with this one is the jazz box. Do you know the dance move, the jazz box?
Nope.
Where you just move your feet in a box shape without turning your body, which, I mean, you can't do it that way in this. But so you move to the left to recenter him, because if you keep going to the right, you're going to hit the edge of the screen and take damage. So move to the left, you move down to move out of his attack range with the sword, and then you move to the right to dodge the shot he shoots, and you move up to aim to shoot him, and you just repeat that.
Huh. Okay.
Everyone came to this episode for these hot strats.
I mean, I think the sprites look kind of cool.
Yeah,
sprites were fine.
Everything looks like it's from a different game, but I think Fester was just from a different game.
I'm assuming this was probably, I didn't look it up, but I feel like this was a game that wasn't supposed to be Fester's Quest, and then someone just like, we got the license.
Yep.
Throw them in there.
Yeah, which is why you don't see the other Addams Family except for those little splash screens when you open the houses.
They're like one color.
Orange. Yeah, they're horrifying.
They're orange and white.
Yep, and black.
And then the fourth, is it the fourth boss with the gun? No, the fourth boss is the guy with a shield and a gun.
Yeah, fourth boss is the worst boss in the game. He's worse than the last one. Because I couldn't figure out how to hit him. I still don't have a strategy beyond use invisibility potions to stand in his hitbox and fire away.
Yeah, it's stupid. And they look like dinosaurs, I guess. That's what I want to say. The second, third, and the second boss looks like a Triceratops head. The fourth boss looks like a freaking some kind of like bird dinosaur. Like, oh, just weird.
Yeah.
It really, yeah. Everything feels like this was from a different game. Like none of this connects. Like the whole idea is you go through, you kill all these bosses, you get notes in quotations that show a painted spaceship in your select screen, and then you find a spaceship. It's fucking stupid.
Pretty dumb. I love it.
And then the other boss is just looks like a one-eyed like dinosaur thing that shoots bullets at you and has a gun. Yeah,
who breathes fire and then shoots a gun at the same time, which is it's so much easier compared to the fourth boss. You can just move out of the way when he shoots.
It's weird. And then you just keep walking around sewers. And then you end up in the final part. And this game is also very linear. It's not like you just go through the map. There's only one way to go all the time, so you'll eventually figure it out if you don't die or quit the game.
There's a couple places where they intentionally put paths that lead to nowhere just to mess with you on the overworld, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Very linear.
It's pretty stupid. Not a fan.
Save it for the shelfer box.
And then you go to the spaceship, and the spaceship actually looks different. So it's the first time they actually had to do different, backgrounds for a change.
Mm-hmm. So there are three overworlds basically that you go through.
Yeah, the spaceship has a lot of mazes too, and also this game drops an incredible amount of downgrades for your gun for some reason.
It sure seems that way.
It does. I'm watching a video right now, and it really is. It's just too much. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You go through the spaceship, then you get to I guess the aliens captured the Addams family, or I don't even know what the hell. I don't even know what the hell's going on.
But they don't, because you see them in the houses. Oh, here we go in the manual. I got the game story. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Addams family are not very strange. In fact, they are quite smart. You see, it was Mama who always warned of the alien UFO coming to invade their city. All the other Addams thought she went crazy, but Mama, using her crystal ball, put a protective spell on the Addams family house. As Uncle Fester was moonbathing one night, the fabled UFO appeared and beamed all the people in the town up. When the aliens scanned the Addams house for life forms, they found none thanks to Mama's spell. It is Gomez who must protect the Addams family, so Fester took his trusty gun and set out on a quest to rescue all the townspeople from the alien UFO. Wow. That took someone 5 minutes to come up with.
But why? Oh, and also the final boss is like a giant computer-looking thingy that has 2 turrets. Apparently, you can stand in the corner on the right side and just do the missile item that you have and target the main thing, and just that's it, and just stand, and it will not touch you.
Yeah, I use the invisibility potions to take out the 2
you don't have to do
front.
That. Oh, you can literally just stand in the corner and do nothing.
Well, there you go. Do that.
You can skip the turrets and just go right for the main guy. It just involves more button pressing.
Yeah, because it fires these stupid homing balls at you, but there's a dead spot on the right side of the screen that completely miss you.
Oh, there's more dead spots, because this guy isn't where you were standing. He's at the complete bottom of the screen. That's a dead spot, too.
Oh, interesting.
So there's multiple dead spots in the screen. That's a really
good game design.
But it's not impossible. Like, that's the whole thing that really it's not an impossible game to play. It's not, you move too slow and the health system is ridiculous that you can die that easy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem with the game.
To quote Tim from the original replay, they don't call it Faster's Quest. I miss Tim.
I do too. And then you have the aliens, I guess, just leave, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
There's not much to it. It's just, it is, but it's not impossible. Like, people like to make it out to be, like you said.
Yeah, I found a NintendoLife.com review. They gave it a 1 out of 10, calling it abysmal. It's not 1 out of 10. It's not unplayable. We've played some real garbage on this show. This isn't great, but it's not nearly as bad as everyone makes it out to be.
Yeah, it's a stupid game.
I mean, can't argue with that.
Yeah, there's not much. Oh, and the game uses Blaster Master's overhead shooter engine.
There you go. That makes sense.
So that's why it played that way.
Mm-hmm. I think even some of the enemies are straight. I think like the frog enemies are from Blaster Master, which is why they look so out of place in this.
I've never played Blaster Master.
It's pretty good.
I've thought about it. I've just never got around to it.
Yeah, we'll play Zero sometime.
Okay.
You can play Shovel Knight and Shantae.
There's just not much to Fester's Quest. It's just an old NES game that exists. But so what started your whole craziness
I have no
for
idea.
this game?
I don't know. I think I was just looking for something to play in the emulator one day. And I'm like, I'll try this thing, because I played it years and years ago, like long before I even moved out to Missouri. And I got at least 2 of the first couple bosses, because I didn't know there were the first person section and bosses and all this shit. So it's always been on my list of something to go back and try again. And I just apparently thought this was going to be the time. And here we are recording an episode on it. So
that wasn't my plan, but yes, you're like, we should. I'm like, because you beat it randomly, and I didn't think you were going to finish it, because you were trying to play it without save states too, right?
The first time I used 2 save states, one before the 4th boss and one before the end. But yeah, every other time I've beaten it legit, quote unquote, which I have it now. I went and bought it yesterday for $9, so I might try and beat it on original hardware.
Which is sad, but
it's very sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Fester's Quest. That's what's wrong.
Yep.
You only paid $9 for it, so it's okay. Not like you went and spent $100 to have an old, a certain type of cartridge because it's faster or something like that.
Oh yeah, because I found that Pokemon Coliseum yesterday. I can't remember what the price was. It was like $140. Yeah, screw that. $9 is nothing.
No, I don't own any NES games, but I've only ever owned one in my life, and that was Mega Man 2, and I didn't even have an NES. I planned to get an NES at the time. That's why I also have I don't have a love for NES games as much, because I've never had them.
Yeah.
So, that plays a big part in why I just don't care about them.
And I feel like we say it on every episode anymore. We're so spoiled with modern games. It's hard to go back to some of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's that. I mean, this game wasn't good, but there's so. I mean, there's that too. This is not really. It's not an impossible game. It's not it's a little broken, but it works. That's the important thing that needs to be said, is that it is playable. It's just not good.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we're just repeating ourselves now, so we should probably move on to Shelf or Box.
Let's go on to Shelf Stacker Box, and why don't you go first? Because this was completely your game. So,
God, I'm gonna get shit for this. I'm gonna put this on the shelf.
Okay.
Because I know I'm gonna come back to it. Because, like we've been saying, it's not unplayable, and I think a lot of why I enjoyed playing it was discovering this stuff for myself, because I didn't look at the manual until after I'd already finished the game, and then felt kind of stupid because it tells you everything you need to know. But a lot of the fun was just kind of discovering what the power-ups do, and I can go to the hot dog stand and select the money item to restore my health. So it's fun to have that sense of discovery again, because even modern games, I feel like I don't have the patience for it, which is weird. Maybe it's because this one's so simple that it didn't mess with me.
Yeah, it's a very simple game.
But I would suggest, if you're going to play it, check out the Power ROM, or the Power version, because your projectiles don't clip it through the walls, or they do clip through the walls, like we said, and everything seems like it's stronger. The enemies are weaker. The slime monsters, which we didn't talk about, when you shoot them in the American version, they just respawn relentlessly, like they'll multiply. And if you have the fully upgraded gun in the PAL version, you just have to shoot them once and they die. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. Bosses are all easier. The patterns are simpler.
Everything's easier in the PAL version.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't think Europe had the same renting thing as we had.
No, I think you're right.
I think that was more of an American thing that they hated with a passion.
Yep. For some
Literally with a passion. Okay. And I'll go next because it's just me. And I'm putting this in the box, obviously. This game was stupid. I don't like NES games to begin with. I had no plan to even play this. Like I was playing Hollow Knight at the time when we were recording this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this real quick before I play Hollow Knight, and I started playing. I'm like, fuck this shit. This is bad. Like, it wasn't until I got cheat codes to work and had invincibility, I'm like, okay, I'll force myself to run through this game since you beat it. Then you kept beating it. You beat it, I think, 3 more times from the time that we first planned this recording.
Yeah, I beat it once yesterday. I beat it again this morning just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I love the juxtaposition of going from Hollow Knight, which you love, to this.
I mean, people are going to hear many other episodes in between all that. Oh, yeah. Like that was the same week. Just for those that do listen to the show a lot, the same week I was playing Hollow Knight. This was a bad game, but at least, I mean, I don't mind playing random shit sometimes, just because I consider myself to be a gamer, and I like to play a lot of random stuff just to play it sometimes, and I like recording about random shit. Like, I like having I mean, even though I can almost guarantee you not a lot of people are going to click on this and listen to this, it feels good to me just to put random ass content out sometimes. So
yeah. Now you could say you had Fester's Quest on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be promoted in every episode, like the big thing to say to people. Ooh,
yeah, every time we cover something, Addams Family in the future.
I don't see that happening very often. So people have I've never seen the movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen parts of the first movie here and there.
They're all right.
It's that time that I don't really watch stuff, so
yeah,
I missed a lot of 80s movies.
Be good for a Spooktober sometime.
I'll go with real spook movies, not fake ones.
Yeah, you don't like those either.
I don't like anything spook, but I still do. And hey, thankfully we're not having because you couldn't finish. The last thing I want to say, you couldn't finish Silver Surfer, right? Before this,
I beat it, but I had to heavily abuse save states.
Okay, that sounded terrible.
Yeah, it takes some serious memorization because that game is just mean with its enemy placement and whatnot.
Okay,
but it's not unplayable either. It's just hard. Also, I have to mention, because Overblood will be mad at me if I don't. In the very end, the ending screen, Gomez Addams looks so much like Dan Reichert. Like, multiple people pointed it out, so there's that.
I'm surprised. Did they beat it on the replay?
No, God, no. They didn't make it past. They made it just past the first sewer and then died and got reset. And
then that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's how replay was. They've only played a little bit anyway.
What kind of idiot would beat this game?
Apparently us. Except I cheated, so it's okay. You do not. And you
Yeah, I
do
don't have that
sometimes.
excuse.
I got nothing. All right, I think that's everything I need to say for this. I hope you enjoy the rest of Spooktober. Actually, spooky stuff that we're going to have all Spooktober because this Spooktober is huge. Huge. 'Cause I've been publishing tons of content. So, and this wasn't even supposed to be in there, and it is now. So, yeah. So, go listen to all that. We have a Discord server now. This is the first episode I'm plugging it in because I just made it recently at the time that we're doing this. So, there's a Discord server up now. So, go join the Discord. You'll see a link in the show notes every single week now. So, go do that. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. We're audio only, but we're on YouTube. If you'd rather get your podcast that way. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fear. You can follow her on TikTok. She made our music. And give a shout out to Bill Tucker, who suffered through all the MCU movies with me and still comes on the show often. He started his own podcast, The Gamer Looks at 40, where he interviews people how video games affect their lives. Really good show, well produced. Check it out. He doesn't cover. He does cover bullshit like this too sometimes. Not this game, but he does cover bullshit games too.
Also,
Covered a Barbie game I think once because he had a. He does stuff that has emotional stories to it. So good guy. I think I'll check out his work. And we have a Patreon for Little Dollar. You can go vote in our Patreon polls every month. So help out the show, and eventually there will be more. But yeah, so go do that. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.